Hello and good morning everyone. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone to our today's webinar, Email Performance, Go Beyond Open and Click Rate. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. My name is Smita, and as I've said, I'm working with Niche Software Solutions as a marketing manager, and I handle the marketing for our email marketing tool called Juvlon. Alright, before we begin today's session, I have few housekeeping announcements to make. Please note that our session is being recorded and we'll make the link available with everyone after the session. We've kept everyone on mute to ensure that any background noise and conversations are kept private. To ask the questions, please make use of the question box on your GoToWebinar window, the one where we have actually chatted some time back. Write your comments, questions, and anything that you want us to see in this question box. After the presentation, we'll try to attend all your questions. Friends, that's about the housekeeping stuff. And now I welcome Gitanjali Dighe, today's speaker and presenter. Gitanjali has joined us from US. I invite Gitanjali to begin today's session about email performance, go beyond open and click rate. Over to you, Gitanjali.
Thank you very much, Smita. I hope you all can hear me well. Smita, just tell me if you can hear me.
Yes, Gitanjali, you are quite loud and clear.
That's great.
Yes, there are...
So, hello everyone. Sorry, go ahead, Smita.
Yeah, I'm getting comments in the chat that yes, they are able to hear you also.
That's fantastic. That's great. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be joining this particular webinar. I have my relations with Niche Software go long back. I used to work for Niche. Now I'm based in the US, and I have been in the digital marketing space for quite some time. So I am going to be taking about 30 to 35 minutes of your time talking about email marketing metrics and what and how you can measure about emails, which will be more than opens and clicks. So this is a little about me. This is the next slide, and at times it takes time for slides to load, so I'm going to be a little slow initially. So as Smita said, I'm Gitanjali, and I have been working as a digital marketing strategist since the .com times. I help companies generate more sales. I build insights, I do data analysis, and I help companies build efficiencies from digital tools. And today I'm going to talk about how you can use your email marketing more efficiently, how you can measure email marketing results. And I will give you some benchmarks and metrics, and hopefully you can go back after this webinar, look at your data, and probably get some insights into what more can you delve out of that data and get more insights on. So thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate the time that you have given us. And let me begin by talking about email marketing tools for success. So most of us have been sending out emails and are quite familiar with email blasts and email mailers, so to speak. Sometimes companies send them just as big image emailers. Companies are now, most of the users are now very savvy and have started sending out text emails, HTML emails, and so on. But essentially what we do at the end of the day is measure whether emails have been opened and how many people have clicked on the email. So what is it that we can do? What is it, can we measure something more? And what is it that we can measure, and how will that help our business is what I'm going to talk about. So what I have done in this presentation is I have broken down the metrics into sort of 3 different parts. Some of them are basic metrics like the open rate and click rate, and I give you some benchmarks here. I'll talk about some time-related metrics, some list-related metrics. Then I move on to engagement. how many people are opening and how engaged is your audience with the communication that you are sending them. I talk about the content and what is really important that you keep in mind. And there are certain aspects of advanced and third-party tools that you could use. So that is also something I'm going to try and cover today. So let me go to talking about some of the basics of email. So I don't know how many people you know how email is measured, but for the benefit of everyone who is here in our webinar today, I would like to quickly cover how email opens and clicks are measured. And it might be familiar to a lot of people, but still let me just cover it for the sake of the newcomers and people who are new to email marketing. So typically what happens is when you receive an email, you open it, and when you open it, you have noticed that most of the times images are not automatically loaded by the email service providers. And these images are hidden with a cross, or you cannot see. You can just see the text content. So what happens is when you allow images to be downloaded from the email, the images are actually downloaded from a server. Now this server is, let's say if you're talking about an email that has been sent from Juvlon, this email is situated on a server at Juvlon, and when the images are downloaded onto your email, a small pixel is also downloaded along with these images. And this is the pixel that allows Juvlon or any other email marketing provider to know that the email was opened. Once the email is opened, you can click on the link and go to the website, and clicks are definitely then trackable. But this is how is this pixel is what we call as the beacon, and beacons are what enable us to know that the email has been opened at all. So very fundamentally, if you have people who are reading your emails but are not opening or not downloading the images, it's possible that you will register an email not open, but if the person has clicked on the email, it will show as an email click. So when an email is clicked, we automatically assume that the person has also opened the email, so that is also counted as an open. So this is just the very basic of how email opens are counted. So let me move forward to the basics of email. And we all know, or most of us know, that what we measure typically is the unique open rate. And there are lots of benchmarks available for this unique open rate. This is a benchmark that I have taken from Silverpop here. And it measures unique opens and unique divided by the total emails sent. So you will see, oops, I'm sorry. Let me go back here. Yes. So you'll see that the open unique rate for different industries is listed here. And I encourage you to go and download this report, and you can check with Smita and ask for this report, which is available by different companies online. So which is your industry? Where do you fit in, and how do you compare to the industry open rate is something that I urge you to check. These are typically, I think, US-based. These are US open rates, and US open rates are fairly higher than Indian open rates. And sometimes in India, we struggle to get these many open rates because of the deluge of emails, because of the certain practices that we have in India. But even so, it's not it is not impossible to get open rates of 25%. What we mean by that is, when you send out your messages, only 25% of the people will probably see your message. And moving forward to click-through rate, the number of people who actually click on your emails could be much lower, to about 4 to 5%. Sometimes people ask me, why is it that email is considered, is it even a good channel? And personally, I have worked with various channels. I've worked with social media, I've worked with B2B companies, I've worked with B2C companies. My favorite channel happens to be email because I believe that it's very important in today's world that you own the email address of the person. It is like knowing someone's house. If you are a door-to-door salesperson and you don't know the address of that person, that's an opportunity lost. So I consider having an email of your customers a very important step in the digital marketing process. If you compare, say, click-through rates of display ads, they would be far lower, and the amount of budgets that you might end up spending on a display ad, depending on your industry, it might be higher. So I urge you to even compare the click-through rates of different channels, and I will come to that a little later in the presentation. But so click-through rate and open rate are the basic two rates that we all measure and we all know. But a lot of time people ask me, what do you do if your open rates are not high? What do you do if your click-through rates are not high? Where do you even begin to improve that aspect of your email marketing? And that's where we come to deliverability. This is another beginning aspect of the basic email marketing metrics that you should measure. And one of them is the bounce rate. A lot of people do not look at bounce rate too much because they don't think that, they have an email list which is probably a little old. So you expect that some of the email addresses on that list may not be correct, may be old. Some people may have left the organization. So what happens is when you send out an email and the email inbox is either full or the email is incorrect, or there was a data entry error when the email was taken by your organization, all of this contributes to a bounce back from the email service provider, which means if you send an email to me and that email address is wrong, the email goes back to you. These bounces will come back to Juvlon, for example, and Juvlon will give you a report of all the bounces. Note that this is very important aspect today because it affects how many people you are able to reach. So you might think that you are sending out email to 100 people and you are being charged to send out emails to those 100 people, but you may only have 80% addresses correct. So bounce rate is something you should definitely look at. This is again a very basic kind of report, but this impacts other things. For example, it impacts your IP reputation. IP reputation is something that I will talk about a little in detail, but it all begins absolutely by seeking permission from your email readers. And I keep reiterating this again and again. It is possible in today's day and age to harvest data, to harvest email lists, but that is not a practice that I encourage, or I know Juvlon also does not encourage, especially because that is a violation of the privacy. It violates a lot of laws, not just in India, but in various other regions and geographies as well. But primarily, if the person is not interested in your offer, he's not going to read. He'll probably mark it as spam or report it as a spam, and that is where your IP reputation gets affected as well. After permission, I also urge you to look at your SPF settings, which means that when you are sending your email newsletters from the server like Juvlon, then you need to set up certain text records in your DNS, which are called SPF records. And if any one of you want to know more about this, you can reach out at the end of this webinar to Juvlon, and they will talk about what SPF is. But basically, what SPF means is a sender policy framework, and it tells email service providers like Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail that the server that is sending the message on your behalf is authorized to send that email. And this also affects your deliverability. For example, if you send out an email that is not authorized by a server, so this particular record here in Google, for example, will be shown as fail. If the SPF fails, your emails land into junk. Now, all of this, the bounce rate, if you've not sought any permission, if your SPS settings are wrong, they all affect your IP reputation. And what that means is that your emails start getting into the junk folder. Your IP address, your domain name gets blacklisted. Once that happens, your name gets into third-party database lists. There are lists that people follow that email service providers tap, and I will give you a tool at the end of this webinar which will help you understand whether your brand, whether your IP address is blacklisted or not at the end of this webinar. Essentially, IP reputation once becomes bad, it's very difficult to get back into the whitelist again. And this means that more of your emails will land into junk or will not be delivered, and that will essentially affect your email marketing program. So when people say that my emails are not doing very well, this is the first part that I would want my clients and my business partners to look at, whether their IP is correct, SPF is correct, permission is there, and so on. Once we move past these basic reports, I would want to look at certain other aspects. So you've been sending out emails. You have generated reports. Probably you have Excel sheets. Probably your email service provider already gives you different kinds of reports. What could you gain more from those reports? What are other reports that you can look at? And these are time-related reports, as I call them. For example, try and find out how many number of opens happened at what time during the day. I'm not talking about when the email was sent. It is possible that the email was sent tonight, but it's possible that the users, the readers only got to it in the morning, next day morning, or perhaps the readers got to that email only after their office hours. It depends from brand to brand, from company to company, when typically what kind of messages are opened. So this is something that I would want to look at, is 12 to 7, and I have not written midnight to 7 because I wanted to fit all those words here. Probably the copy of the presentation will have better words here. So up to 7 a.m., from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., and so on. So if you plot out a report of how many, let's say in the past 1 month, if you have sent 3 to 4 campaigns, when are people opening them? This kind of a trend will give you an idea of where maximum amount of your people are reading or not reading. It's possible that they read during their lunch hour. It's possible that if it's a retailer, they read it during after office hours or during mornings, and so on. So it depends on your organization and your company. Try and look at number of opens. This is something that gives an interesting perspective. I also look at day of the week reports, and this also has been very insightful for me in the past, especially because there definitely is a trend on when you should try and send the emails. Try and not send them during Fridays for certain industries, for business-to-business related companies. Most of the opens for B2B companies will happen between Tuesday and Thursday. Whereas retail companies in the past, for me, when I did this report, they were opened during the weekend, during a certain promotion that was run for the weekend. So depending on when you are sending the email, especially if it's like a promotion or a coupon request, or if it's a B2B kind of an environment where it's a message that you're sending across to your business partners, or you're doing some promotions for B2B, number of opens in the week is something that will give you additional insights, and that's a report that I would encourage you to look at. Here's another kind of report that will help you gauge your email marketing, and that is lists. So you have a certain number of emails with you. How has your list grown? And when I talk about list growth, I'm talking about correct emails, not incorrect emails. So for example, if when you send out one particular campaign, if there are X number of bounced emails, those emails can be taken out altogether, and what you're left with is a clean list. Can you compare your clean list numbers from Q1, Q2 to Q3 and Q4 and say that, hey, my list has been growing? And I'm talking about the correct emails again. Here's another interesting report that you can look at. If you can generate an Excel sheet of all your data, or if your email service provider or Juvlon can get you this kind of information, how many people have never opened your emails? This is an important aspect, especially because engagement is becoming very important today. If people never open your email and you have been sending them messages again and again and again, over a period of time, you will notice that some of the emails start going into your junk. As an email marketing professional, I look at my junk folder very regularly just to get an idea of what kind of emails are now going into my junk, and especially with very intelligent filters that are there in Outlook and Microsoft and all the online email service providers. It's interesting to see that emails that I have not bothered to open because they were very frequent and I could not catch up with them, they started landing into the junk mail. So again, have a look at people who have never opened your emails. Send them out a special offer or create an engagement campaign for them so that you can then understand that whether they are opening that particular email or not. If you do that, then you get more audience engaged with your emails. The more your audience is engaged, the more your happy reputation improves and your emails start getting into the inbox. Coming to engagement, here's something I find very interesting, and this is something that I have been saying for many years now, that email is a great channel because when a person receives your email, looks at the subject line, his inbox or her inbox is absolutely cluttered, but even then that person looks into your email, opens it, reads it, clicks it, and comes to your website. This person is highly engaged with your website. And if you compare, now this is a screenshot I have taken from Google Analytics, and if you compare the channels and the time that people spend on that channel and the number of pages per session on that channel, you will start getting some interesting results. So organic search, for example, is a channel, email is a channel, referral is a channel, various websites that have referred direct is a channel, and so on, social and paid search. If you do a comparison, you might find that, again, this depends on your industry, but if you have been running your email marketing campaign right, you will start seeing that number of pages that an email visitor spends on the website is far more than other channels, and you will start seeing this trend. The time that they spend on the website is also more than the other channels. So have a look at engagement metrics. This will also give you an interesting data of your email marketing, whether your email marketing is working or not. How to get these metrics, how to get email reports in your Google Analytics is something that I will talk about now. And this is a fairly simple Google integration, but basically this is how it works. If you have a link in your email which says, let's say, juvlon.com, this link will have parameters attached to it: UTM source, UTM medium, UTM campaign, and so on. And these will all have parameters. Like, for example, here UTM campaign is December webinar, UTM medium is email. So this is the medium is an email. This link is coming from the medium of email. When you create every link in the email like this, and when someone clicks on this email, Google Analytics code on your website automatically knows that this person has come from an email from the source was an internal list of people, or the source was, say, let's a third-party email or a third-party partner's website, and so on. And the campaign was December webinar. So you will get all of this data right into your Google integration, Google reports, and going back one page, you will start getting reports like these. How many people that came from the email spent what kind of time in average session. This is something I have found personally very interesting, and whenever I send out email campaigns, I use the Google Analytics tools to actually mark. There are certain annotation tools in Google Analytics which help you mark which day you send out the campaigns, and you will see that there will be a little peak, a little spike of all the traffic that that particular campaign has generated for you in your analytics. So I urge you to start looking at not just your email reports, but your analytics reports as well. This is already pre-built in Juvlon, so you don't have to do anything in most email programs today, but Juvlon of course also has this, which means it says here enable Google Analytics tracking, and this is what it will take. It will take your email campaign name that you have set up in Juvlon. It will take your subject, which is like webinar, and so on, and it will start putting that in your Google Analytics reports. So this is one more reports that you should look at. Here's something else. Google Analytics will also give you interesting reports on the mobile, what device that users used to look at your email, and even various email service providers, various other email services will give you this kind of report as to whether your email was read on a desktop, whether it was read on mobile, and these reports are also available. This is important because most of us read emails on our mobile devices, so it's important that you test and you design your emails for mobiles, and this is something that you should try and look at when you are looking at your email metrics reports as well. Here's a very important metric that I think you should not miss out on, and that is how many people unsubscribed. This usually is not considered, or many of the marketing managers that I know of don't track this. If somebody has unsubscribed, there is usually a one-click unsubscribe link in the email, and okay, you've lost that customer. But this gives you an interesting insight into how many number of people are unsubscribing in a month, in a quarter. What does that tell you? Where did that person come from? Was that a list that was, taken from somewhere, some particular source? Was this, when did you go to a trade seminar, and did you get this list from the people who had visited your booth, and so on? But unsubscribe also kind of gives you information about the frequency of your emails. Are you perhaps sending out emails too frequently, and so on? Are people sending out spam complaints about you? And I cover this in the next slide a little bit more. But basically, subscription is something that you should manage, and it's very easily done in Juvlon, that is Niche Software's products. What this basically does, it segregates different types of campaigns. You may have newsletter campaigns. You may want to send out campaigns from third parties. You may want to definitely send out a birthday mailer or a welcome mailer, and so on. So if the user has subscribed to these different kind of campaigns, he or she has the option of unsubscribing from all of them, or unsubscribing just from the newsletters. But if there is a separate campaign that you want to run only for promotions and coupons or giveaways, then he or she has the option of keeping subscribed to that email. And I know today's day and age, consumers are too busy to even think of unsubscribing, but you will be amazed to see people's behavior once you start monitoring these unsubscribed numbers. Which brings us to the spam and complaints. I remember that when I was working with Juvlon, we were one of the first people to put this report spam and unsubscribe right on top. There was a reason for this. If you see your Google Mail or Hotmail, there is an option these days where readers can mark your email as spam. What that does is it sends a report to Google, it sends a report to Microsoft that your emails are spammy, you have not signed up for it, and it's surprising to see that many people who have actually subscribed on the website by themselves do not like the content of the email, and they will click on a report spam button. When that happens, your IP reputation is affected again, and therefore I urge you to look at your spam complaint reports and unsubscribe reports. Now what Juvlon has done is there is a very innocuous looking report spam and unsubscribe button right on top of the email. When users click this button to unsubscribe or to report spam, instead of this information going to Hotmail or to Google or to any other email provider, this information comes to Juvlon, and while no longer the person who has complained will no longer receive the email from your domain automatically, what it also tells you is that your reputation, IP reputation, is protected, but at the same time you get information and instant reports about how many people are complaining about you. That gives you an idea of how your consumers are behaving. So this is also something that I would definitely recommend that you look at, and this is again a very important metric that you should track, the report spam and unsubscribes. Let's look at what works. So here's something that I have found very interesting, and it's a small little change that I would want you to experiment on, is subject lines. Now, most of us struggle with what subject lines work, right? We don't know what words will work, how long it should be, how short it should be. What is it that will make the readers open the emails? And this is usually the top of mind of most of the email marketers. Here's one quick trick that I think has worked for me. And have a look at your inbox and look at all the emails that you have. If you have archived them, bring them back, put them in the email, and just look at all the subject lines that you see in your inbox. Usually, if there is your name in the subject line, it will just immediately pop out at you. So this is what we call as personalization. You can personalize each subject line with the receiver's name. And when that happens, it can be easily done, you will start seeing a slightly more number of opens in your email reports. This is just an example that I have given. For example, if you see Smita's email here, it's very easily configured with my name, and you obviously need to have a first name in the database for this to happen. If you don't have, you can actually replace it with something, hello, hello readers, and so on. So personalization is something that you should look at. And even though direct reports will not be available, what I urge you to do is take your past campaigns, dig through the data, compile a list of subject lines and list of open rates, and just try and see if you see any patterns that start emerging. This may not be a readily available report, or it may be for you, but this is something that has worked wonders for me in the past. I went through 6 months data of just subject lines and open rates, and it was very evident that all the open rates that were above a certain threshold had certain words in the subject line, and they were usually tickets, and this was for events that I was sending out, and there were usually tickets that were available for a discount or an early bird, that really worked well. So it's it varies from company to company, but this is something that I would want you to look at, and that is something that will give you insights about your subject lines. Which brings us to what works, which subject lines work. And here's something which is a slightly advanced method. that I have used, and I think every email marketer must use in today's day and time. If you are not doing A/B testing, you must start using this particular tool. And what this does is basically you split up your audience into two groups. A group who see variation A of the subject line, and B group which see variation B of the subject line. Now please note that this can be not just a subject line, but you can change the from name, you can change the content, you can change anything but one thing. Send out that email to half the people and send out the other email to other half and see which one works best. For example, in the past, I have seen that buttons which were brightly red, even though they signified, you know, people have done studies between red color and green color, and the ones that I had worked with, I had found that a button which is prominently red and which said download now received much more clicks. So I had sent out two different emails to two different groups of people, and that's what I found. But subject line is something you can similarly test, and you can send out one particular subject line to a group of people, send this different subject line to a second group of people, wait for some time, see which subject line works best, which subject line gives you more opens, and send the rest of the your audience that particular subject line. And again, this is a tool that is available in most email service providers today. Juvlon also has this tool, and once you start using it, you will get to see the A/B split test. And I'm sure that if you need any tutorials, Niche and Juvlon will be happy to provide. But this is something that I would definitely urge most of email marketers to start using today. Coming to almost the last slide of my presentation, and I have taken more than half an hour already, and we do need to have some time for our question answers. So I'll quickly wrap this up here. I urge you to look at a couple of third-party tools. These work with any and every email service provider, and they will work with Juvlon as well. Email on Acid does an excellent testing for different kinds of devices. So if you have an HTML email, you might want to test it through Email on Acid and see whether your email can be seen on iPhone, whether it can be seen on an iPad, it can be seen properly on an Android device, and so on. Similarly, a third-party tool called as Litmus will help you understand which devices the readers have opened the email on. It tells you interesting insights into whether the email was opened at all, whether the email was forwarded, and whether it was clicked, and so on. You can also look at MX Toolbox. This is the tool that will help you understand whether your emails are being blacklisted or not. It will help you understand your email headers, which means you can actually take the headers of an email and paste it into this tool, and it will tell you whether you have an SPF pass or a fail, how long did each hop of the email transition took, and so on. So there are very interesting reports available with MX Toolbox. I also urge you to look at senderscore.org. This will also give you interesting insights into what kind of server it is that you're sending the email from, and whether, for example, if you want to see whether a particular brand, what kind of emails and what volumes of emails it is sending out, this is an essential tool that you must check out. So that brings me to the end of my email marketing reports, and again I want to go back to all the different types of email marketing reports that you can generate. Basically, not just looking at open rate and click rate, but look at subject lines, look at times when the emails were open, look at your list and how it has grown. There is a wealth of data available in Google Analytics once you enable analytics in your emails. So this is about today's discussion. I hope this short presentation was helpful for you. feel free to get in touch with me on email or on Twitter, and if you have any ideas to exchange, you can do that. And I believe Juvlon today has a special offer for all of you who have registered and attended this webinar, and I will hand over this call now to Smita and open this forum. She can talk about the offer and then open this discussion, this forum for discussion. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. Thank you, Gitanjali. That definitely was really very informative session, and I'm sure all our audience, they have made the point and they've noted down what the tips, all the tips that you have shared. And especially when you were talking, I was also making my notes, and as you have said, Google Analytics is really a wonderful tool. That's one of my favorites, and there's a huge lot of information, guys, that's lying there with Google Analytics. And as Gitanjali pointed out, personalization. I myself have tested it, and I've seen the difference in the open and click rate. And it's not only open and click, that's where I have stopped. I've seen the results that have come out of it. I mean, people writing back to me to know more about it, or we getting more free trial registrations and more sale. So yes, all the tips that Gitanjali has shared were really very informative. Friends, I would quickly like to tell you about what Juvlon is. Juvlon is a multi-channel messaging software. Juvlon helps you in sending bulk or mass emails. That is, it helps you in email marketing. And we have recently launched SMS marketing also. So I'm really happy to announce that now Juvlon also helps you in sending out mass SMSs also. And email and SMS, it's an integrated report that you can get together. As Gitanjali has said, that I have an announcement to make exclusively for this webinar attendees. We have already announced Juvlon year-end offers, but this is a special announcement for today's attendees. We are extending this year-end offer by 5% more discount on all Juvlon plans. That means all those who are attending today can buy Juvlon at 15% discount. And the discount is valid only till 31st of December. So friends, please hurry up and make your purchases. You can write to me to avail this discount, or feel free to get in touch with any one of our business development team. With this, I'll open the session for question and answers. And Gitanjali, I can see there are many questions that are coming in. What I'll do is I'll quickly read those questions one by one, and you can help me answer them.
Okay.
Okay. This first question which says how to make someone read mail even if they are not interested.
Very interesting question, and I'm glad whoever has asked it has asked this question.
Right.
This is a very common problem that we marketers face. We have a product we want to sell, and we definitely have a good product. We have something that we believe that users will benefit if they use it. So how do you make sure that they will read it? So I think the problem is, what I understand from this question is that users are not interested. Users are interested, but figuring out ways to understand how best to communicate. It's not necessary that you have to give a great discount for them to grab attention. It might be that you as a company need to do something to get their attention. So depending on case to case, I would say that you need to look at your branding, your overall messaging. By that I mean the ads that you're creating, not just on email, but also on, let's say, your ad platforms that you're using, YouTube videos if you're creating. What is it that you're trying to communicate? What problem are you trying to solve? Look at that. There is a problem there. If there is a problem, then there is a reason why the consumer will buy your product. If you are struggling with communicating, then the problem is not with the digital channel, it's the problem of message. So how do you approach that problem? I would say that you approach that problem by talking to companies or agencies that help you communicate better. I know that in the past we have done some amazing campaigns at Juvlon where we have launched certain products, which means we have crafted email campaigns from campaigns, email campaigns that had first email, an email that was like a teaser, then a second email wave, then a third email wave. And I have also used strategies where I've given something free, not just to my audiences, but I have given something free to, say, a company that was a magazine. A magazine had subscriptions, and we were able to reach out to the email readers of that magazine, giving them a particular very precise offer. So the way I would answer this question is to try and see what problem do you solve and how best do you communicate. It's not about just email opens, it is about matching your audience's needs to the offer that you have. Yes. And feel free to get in touch with me at my Twitter ID. I'll be happy to get into a chat or a discussion later.
Right. This was really helpful. I mean, definitely, I do agree with what you've said. Vishal has asked one question which we've been actually receiving from most of our readers and subscribers. I'll just read out his question. We are using Express email marketing tool of GoDaddy for sending e-newsletters, but most of the emails are going into promotion tab in Gmail. That's why the open rates are very low. What to do for this, and is it because of sender's email ID?
Here's one thing that I would suggest that you do. I will have to obviously look at what kind of a message that you have and what kind of offering that you have. But if a person replies to your email, if you start getting a dialogue, most of the emails marketers send out are no reply emails, which means that you send out an email which says, do not reply. And email is a two-way communication tool. I urge you to come up with a communication and a campaign that makes people reply to that email, which means, let's say a hypothetical situation, you say, first 5 people who reply to this email are eligible for a draw. You get people to reply. The reason is, every time somebody replies to your email, that email address is not only taken as like a contact, it is also a signal to Google which says that, this is a trusted party, people are responding, people are replying. That would be my first attempt to get to this kind of an interaction. Getting away from the promotions tab is something that will require some more detailed understanding of what your product is and how best we can approach this kind of a strategy where you get your emails delivered to inbox. Some of it may involve teaching the consumers. If you have a product that allows you to, where consumers can come and read something about your product on the website, you can probably coach them to say, hey, this is how you can move it to an inbox and so on. And there are examples, you will find such examples on the net of people and brands who are doing that. But honestly, in the overall scheme of things, there is a reason why Google has put those tabs together, is to get people to understand, to get their control of their inbox. Here's one thing else that I recommend that you do. Again, depending on what kind of a service you have. But say you are, I didn't get the name, sorry, whoever had asked this question, but let's say I'm from the company and Geetanjali. So if I send a mail from personal name, Geetanjali at Juvlon.com, it's highly likely that if you start building a dialogue, and if the person is a genuinely real person who can build up that kind of a dialogue, this obviously requires a lot of resources, I understand, but this would be my strategy to experiment and start getting more traction on the email. Okay.
There's one more question which says that as a beginner, how does one start sending the emails and how can one predetermine the ratio? I mean, the person is asking that how does one understand if there is no response for some time and what can we do for that?
If this is the very first email, you start sending out the emails and you see, you obviously begin with the basics. You see how many people are opening your email, and this is something that I do. Again, I look at the people who have not opened my email, and a day later I send the same email only to those people who have not opened. You get some extra traction from that kind of an email sending campaign, because those people who have not read your email, probably 5% more of those will open the email. But if you're an absolute beginner, start with the basics, which is open rate and click rate. Look at your bounce rate, look at your IP. First thing, get your IP and SPF correct. And I'm sure if you can get in touch with Juvlon, they will help you understand how to get your in fact, I believe, and correct me, Smita, if I'm wrong, you might get help from a dedicated account manager as well, who will probably walk you through those steps.
Right. This one more question, which I am not able to understand it so well. Probably Gitanjali, you might help me with this. Let me get the name of the person who's asking this. Akshar. He says that would inbuilt image help? At shine.com, they have inbuilt image. What he has experienced is that attached image takes more time to open. But if there is an inbuilt image in the frame or template, then it opens fast. Would you have anything to comment on this, please?
Okay, I think what Akshar is trying to say is sending out attachments. And attachments will... Yeah, I think attachments not the way to go these days. Emails that are sent out are HTML emails, and the images are already saved on the server, so they are loaded from the server today, and that is pretty much a standard way of operating. Unless he's referring to something else, I would definitely say that images that are stored on server and then downloaded from it is the way to go.
Right. Friends, we are almost close to an hour, so just one last question, Gitanjali, I would like to take. And Ashutosh here wants to know that sometimes when we send the mail and check spam score, he's seen that they've received NA. So he would just like to know what exactly is NA for in the spam score.
In the spam score NA, I don't know which particular tool he's using, but probably what it might mean is that there's not enough data. Whichever tool he's using, there's not enough data to compile for that particular IP address, and therefore there are different kinds of spam tools. Some spam tools help you look at the content you are sending. If you're using big fonts, if you're using free too often, if you're using free in capitals, if you're using special characters in your subject lines with a lot of exclamation marks, all of these contribute towards a spam score. And if he's talking about the spam score, that sort of a score, I will have to understand which tool he's using. And if he's talking about Juvlon, then I think probably Juvlon and Smita can answer this at a later date as to what NA means. Right. But it probably means that it's okay. I mean, it's so long as it's not spammy, it's an okay email to send, is what my guess would be.
Okay, one last question. This is really interesting. Kumar has just popped in this question. He says that mostly people are using click here or some call to action in their template. But now it's an old method, and is there any new way? He wants to know if you can suggest any new way for the text in the call to action.
Very interesting. I have seen some very interesting call to actions in the emails. One of the ones, and I am an email marketer who has seen so many emails that I usually will not click unless I'm really interested. But recently I came across an email that had a puzzle. It literally had a puzzle, and I love solving puzzles. And it kind of said that, if you've solved this puzzle, send us a reply. It just got me clicking on that email, and I hit reply, and I hit, there was a button which says that just click here if you've solved the puzzle, and hey, you're the winner.
That's really interesting.
So puzzles, I have seen crossword puzzles, little crossword puzzles, or which is the first word you see in this image, and it's an image with a crisscross of words, and reply to us with the first image that you see, something that gets the people interested and attracted. I would say that as marketers, we need to keep our eyes open. Just because we are sending out emails doesn't mean we don't look at what is happening outside. Look at what's happening on Facebook. Look at various the pages of various brands, all the big brands that you see around you. Go and find their pages and see what kind of campaigns they are running, and you will be amazed to see the kind of contests they are running. And you can take a page from a leaf from that book and try and emulate or try and use. So try and get your ideas for content from different places, sign up for all kinds of social media and see what people are doing. Keep your eyes open, and that's what I would say. But what all can you do specifically for call to actions? It's basically how creative you can get and what you can do with the brand. So click here is definitely not something. Read more, click here, learn more. Do you want to know more? Would you want us to get in touch with you? How is it that you are, making that guy's life good? I mean, whoever is your reader, how is it that you're trying to help him? And if you honestly ask that question to yourself, that this is the person who's facing a problem and I'm here to solve that question that the person is facing, I'm sure that you will come up with 3 answers. Get together, brainstorm with your team, and the answers are with you. You need to find those out, but get help of the Juvlon team, get help of Naresh, Smita, and people like me. Tweet, find out if you are facing issues. But yes, there are a lot of case studies on call to actions, and I will be happy to at a later date give you some sort of a report on that.
Right, Gitanjali. Friends, as I've said, that was the last question we'll take. Gitanjali, once again, thanks a lot for being a guest speaker for today's session. Audience, thanks to you all too. I've been receiving lots of compliments, Gitanjali, for the informative session, and people have been thanking us.
I am very thankful to you all. Yeah, I'm actually quite humbled that so many people came and attended and
Right.
saw the webinar, and I hope I have been able to help. Please do feel free to get in touch with me on Twitter. I'm Gitanjali T. Smita will share this presentation with all of you, and my Twitter handle is there. Niche happens to be and Juvlon happens to be a very close company and a brand that I really like. So do get in touch with those people as well. And thank you all. It's been a pleasure today.
Friends, with this, I would again like to repeat that today's webinar attendees get 15% discount on all Juvlon plans, and the discount is valid only till 31st of December. With this, I'll end today's session. You all enjoy rest of your day, and here's wishing you all a very happy and prosperous new year. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.